all, it's Keisha with TGN, and welcome to a Healer's Guide to Heroic Ultraxion. Essentially, this fight is the same as normal, but as always, Heroic mode requires more precision in your healing assignments, and even, to some extent, raid composition. This fight has a hardened rage, meaning at some point everyone will blow up. That's it. What this means for heals is that Disc Priests are lovely, because of the DPS that they can put out, as well as any DPS healers can do is essential for the fight, especially if your DPS will pull lower than average numbers. The biggest thing for healers is deciding who gets what crystal buff. There are 3 different types of crystals, and there are many different theories on which healers should get what buff, and because of that, I will try to explain my rationale for the setup that my healers ran, and maybe that will help your understanding of the buffs and how they work together as a healing core rather than just individual, oh, I do best with this buff, etc., etc. 5 healers are needed for the fight. Due to the DPS requirements, it is impossible to do with more than that. I ran with 1 Holy and 1 Disc Priest, 1 Resto Shaman, 1 Holy Paladin, and 1 Druid. All comps, of course, are different. And when I first started researching the fight, all I heard was, Druids are bad, LOLs, bring all Priests and Paladins, but as you can see, that is not necessarily the case, at least not anymore. A lot of the raids will end up bringing 2 Disc Priests due to the DPS they can put out, however, you do take a large hit to HPS with that. I prefer to split my Priests up as Holy and Disc due to this concern. The throughput healing that Holy can offer outweighed the DPS that Disc could bring. However, this was an open decision with the officer core, and one that could have been changed if DPS had turned into a major issue that couldn't just be tweaked through rotations in order to hit the enrage. So just keep an open mind. If someone asks you to go Disc instead of Holy, you can argue it, but if there's quite obviously a DPS issue, then that will have to change. While Shamans don't usually go hand in hand with massive HPS, they are quite useful in this fight with green buff in their hands due to the nature of the green crystal as well as their Spirit Link totem. The crystal breakdown. The beleaguered adventurers that help you in the fight against Ultraxion will spawn 3 separate crystal sets that each give a unique buff. The first one to come out is the red buff, or Gift of Life, that increases your healing by 100% from all spells. Green will come next with a buff that takes all healing and splits it into AoE healing. And then finally there is the blue crystal that will increase your haste by 100% and will decrease your mana cost significantly. Ideally, red crystal buff should be given to Priests and Druids. Resto Druids generally will take red over green or blue since the other options do not play to our strengths, direct healing, mana intensive cast, etc. We can make do with blue, but if you want to min-max your healers, then reds should probably go to the Resto Druid. Obviously, all healers will do well with red, but you must think in terms of your group composition and what would be best. Traditionally, Disc Priests will get red because their HPS is lowest without it, but my composition had a Holy Priest and Resto Druid taking it. Green buff is best when placed with Paladins or Shamans, but you can put a Holy Priest with it as well. It is not, however, ideal to do Holy Priest on green. Blue buff is best with Holy Paladins and Priests in our circumstance. We had a Holy Priest and a Druid on red, Shaman and Paladin on green, and then the Holy Paladin would switch to blue with the Disc Priest. I chose to put the Disc Priest on blue because of the healing throughput provided by a Holy Priest and Resto Druid with red, and the increased HPS is greater than the Disc Priest with blue. Disc Priests start healing with Prayer of Mending and Prayer of Healing towards the end of the fight, and blue we found was very helpful in that situation. A small tip that we used to help healers for the last 20% of the fight was that at the beginning of the fight, when the DPS would use Bloodlust, we will go down into the Twilight Realm using a Heroic Will, and this way when they pop Bloodlust we won't get the debuff, and then at around 10-15%, that last 40 seconds of the fight, they'll pop Bloodlust for us, and that'll help us get through the fight. Raid cooldowns should be used beginning around 10% and in this rough order. Hymns first, then Tranks with Tree Form, Barrier, and Spirit Link. Barrier is used around 4 to 5%, that last 4 to 5%, or less, since that is when people started dropping left and right in our tents. However, not our kill. Think of this last part as mimicking the Heroic Bethalak last part of the phase, and then Heroic Ultraxion, when you're just like holding your breath, especially in the early stages of killing them. You held your breath and popped CDs like candy, pretty much, in order to stay alive. That's all for Heroic Ultraxion. Good luck and enjoy the ride.
This video is part of the WAVE movement, a career path for YouTubers. To find out more, visit tgn.tv.